If you have any of these products in your Sephora cart, then I would consider deleting them. In my last video, I shared with you all of my favorite Sephora products and recommendations. So today I thought I would do the exact opposite and let you know about all of the products that I regret buying and would not recommend from Sephora. At the end of the day, we are different people and have different preferences. My job is to share with you both pros and cons of each product so that at the end of it, you have a little bit more insight and can decide for yourself whether or not you'd like to purchase a product. And if you're wondering what products I would recommend over these, then you can check out my last video here. I'll put it somewhere in the cards and in the description. With all that out of the way, let's jump into the first product, which is this little guy here. It is the Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. It's the Ultra Blur talc-free version. Now, I don't really have anything negative to say about the powder and the formula itself. My problem is not the formula. I really do think that this is still a really good powder. If you didn't know, Mercier a while back reformulated their OG powder and created a talc-free version, which is with this pink cap here. And they also have a translucent honey shade. So I was really excited to finally be able to find a shade in a talc-free powder that would work for me. However, I was mistaken. I was very much mistaken. This powder is straight up, it's orange. There is some vibrancy to the color of this for some reason, and I thought that I could look past it because most of the times powders are usually a little bit more translucent. This is literally called translucent honey, so it's something that you could usually get away with. I prefer more banana shades on my skin tone because I do have medium brown skin, and translucent shades tend to make me look a little ashier. Unfortunately, this shade makes every foundation I wear look orange. I've tried it a million times over trying to make it work. I realize I keep repeating orange. What I actually mean is that the powder transforms my foundations warmer and deeper than my skin tone. So I'll have a foundation that matches me originally, but when I put the powder on, the color changes to something a lot more warmer, and you can really notice that in the sunlight. It's likely because the shade is made for someone who is probably deeper than me, which is totally fine. Keep in mind the footage also does wash me out slightly, so you're not going to be able to fully see all of the nuances that I'm mentioning in this video. Take it with a grain of salt. But I've tried it with multiple different foundations that I own, and I still have the same problem. Straight up orange. So if you are my skin tone, medium brown, and you are looking for like a honey shade, I wouldn't go with this one. If you're interested in this powder, if anything, get the translucent, because I found that the translucent works for me a lot better. I mean, it's not perfect. Like, I wish it was a little bit more of a yellow shade, but personally, I think that Mercier would benefit from maybe expanding their powder shade range, especially because they're known for their loose powders. I think if they did something similar to One Size and Huda Beauty, where there's like multiple different shades in their powder line, it would be beneficial. All right, moving on to the next product, which I mentioned in the Allure Best of Beauty Awards because it won an Allure Best of Beauty Awards, and I am shocked because I didn't like it. It was the Fenty Beauty We're Even Hydrating Concealer. I have the shade in 300N, and this, again, all of these products that I'm mentioning, I did not jump to conclusions about these, okay? I did my best to make it work in a million different ways, even in ways that they're not marketed for, but they just don't do it for me, and I cannot recommend it with confidence. There are just so many good concealers out there at the drugstore, at Sephora, at Ulta, even luxury concealers, that I don't understand why out of all of them, this won a Best of Beauty Allure Award. I have intentions to love Fenty Beauty products, but they don't always work up to my standards, and this is one of those things. I do have a full review of this concealer on my channel, so if you want to see my wear test and how that turned out, it'll go into more detail on how everything ended up looking throughout the day. Long story short, it creases under the eyes, it makes my under eyes look crepey. I have oily skin, and for some reason this concealer looks dry. It's the strangest thing. Yeah, you can even see, even swatched on my hand, it like sinks into the lines of my hands, and the finish isn't glowy. I think when they're marketing it as hydrating, us as consumers kind of naturally hear that and think glowy. So that could also be where I'm going wrong and maybe misunderstanding the marketing here, but it's not that glowy of a finish. It's more of a luminous finish. If anything, it's like a natural kind of luminous finish. Hands are pretty smooth, not gonna lie, but my skin is not as smooth. So when I apply this on top of foundation or even alone, for some reason when it sets, especially when it wears throughout the day, I just have the worst makeup day. No matter what I do with this, no matter what I wear this with, I have the worst makeup day. I can't even use this as spot concealer because it's light coverage. I can't use it under my eyes because it makes it crease and dries them out. And that could just be because I don't have the skin for a concealer like this. So keep that in mind. It could work for your skin type better, but for me, it's a complete pass, would not recommend. And if anything, it's mediocre and there are better concealers out there. Now, the next product is something that I don't think is necessarily bad, but for the price, I feel like there is much better products out there that do the same thing. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sun Kissed Glow Bronzer, and when I first used this, I really did enjoy it. The texture is everything that honestly would align with my preferences. It's that cream to kind of powder formula. It's very moussey and reminds me a lot of the Chanel bronzer. I can make this work. Again, this isn't bad, but it's not the best, especially at Charlotte Tilbury pricing. There's better out there. The reason why I personally wouldn't recommend this is because I find that the formula can be a little bit patchy on the skin. I feel like it takes a little bit more work to build up because it's not as pigmented as other cream bronzers that I've used. I personally prefer the Huda Beauty Tantour or even the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer and the LYS cream bronzer. Those are very melting and blendable on the skin. They have a lot of pigment, so it also covers my hyperpigmentation a little bit. And I noticed that when bronzers are a little bit patchier on the skin or they're not as pigmented on the skin, they can kind of look muddy and enhance any hyperpigmentation that you have that might not have been covered from whatever you applied previously. The Huda Beauty Tantour is also a similar formula. It's that cream to powder. I just find it melts into the skin a lot easier and is much more blendable than this formula. And I think it's also because the Tantour is slightly more pigmented. So take with that information what you will. I think that if you like less pigmented bronzers, if you don't mind building it up a little bit, if you like more natural makeup and you don't have like hyperpigmentation or you don't have that problem with bronzers causing patchiness, then this could work for you better than it has worked for me. But overall, I've tried better, I prefer better, and this isn't something that I can recommend if you have the same preferences as me. The next product that I think you should delete from your Sephora cart is unfortunately from Rare Beauty. I was so excited when this first launched. I bought 2 shades. Initially, when people were making TikToks about these, it had raving reviews, but like everything else, over time, you start to kind of see the real reviews once people start buying them with their own money, and this is one of those products. I bought this right away when it first launched, and that was a mistake on my part. I have since then learned not to buy things when they first launch unless I feel like it's valuable to share on my channel, because I soon realized that this formula was so drying on my lips, which isn't what you would expect from a lip oil. So this is a lip oil stain. You have that initial lip oil texture, and then once that fades away, you have a stain on your lip, which I know is a common formula in Asian beauty. And I do think that the lip oil portion of this has a gorgeous finish. However, the glossiness fades so quickly and then you're left with like dry, cracked lips with pigment on them. And I really don't think that that is flattering. I think that if you want to apply this on top of maybe like a lipstick or something, you can really make that work. Or depending on your lip texture, maybe that might not happen to you, like it might not dry out your lips. But for me, I constantly had to continuously reapply this to get that nice kind of oil glass sheen. And every time it would fade away, my lips would be super cracked. I think that because this is such a common formula in Asian beauty, there's probably better out there. I haven't tried any, but I'm sure that there's probably better out there. If you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. Next up is a product from One Size. It is their Turn Up the Base Versatile Foundation Powder. I have this shade in medium 5G. I had high hopes for this because One Size is made for the oily skin girls. I love the One Size loose baking powder, and I am a powder foundation girly, so I thought that this was gonna be that powder foundation for me. However, first of all, I think I bought the wrong shade. Like, this shade is very, very warm and orange for me. Not the biggest fan of that. But second of all, this is just not a high quality powder foundation from my experience. I really love the Makeup Forever powder foundation, also the Bare Minerals powder foundation. So when I compare this to those products, I cannot recommend it. I find that this is a very, very drying powder foundation. It is cake central. And the thing is, with powder foundations, they're meant to have more coverage on your skin, so it's normal for things to look a little cakey if you apply too much. I'm telling you, no matter how much I apply, I feel like this does not look good on my skin. And again, I have oily skin, so usually I can get away with more matte powders, but this isn't like a sophisticated matte powder foundation formula that's like blurring my skin and making it look soft and smooth. This is that type of powder foundation formula that makes you look like a cake face. I'm well experienced with powder foundation, so there are ways to make it work so it kind of looks like a liquid foundation on your skin, but none of my usual tricks has worked with this one. I have an evil smile right now because I feel like this one's going to be a little bit controversial and people are not going to agree with me, but this is something that I regret buying and I would not recommend for some specific reasons. So note that. If you like it, I'm so happy you love it, enjoy it, use it, but I do not think that these are worth the hype. So as you can tell, I have multiple different shades of the mini Makeup Forever Color Artist pencils, and this year they re-released the gift set with these little mini pencils. That's what I bought last year. It sold out last year. It was a super popular set. I did mention in my Sephora like gift sets you'll always regret buying that I regretted buying this because one, I just didn't need all of these shades. I should have just bought the one lip liner that I think would work for my skin tone, but two, I think that this formula is truly just mediocre, and I think that Makeup Forever knew that and other people was sharing the same feedback because they actually created another version of this formula. To those of you who maybe are not aware, these Color Artist pencils are marketed to be used in a variety of different ways. You can use them to line your eyes. You could also use them to line your lips. TikTok has been kind of using them all over the face as kind of like an all-in-one product, which I don't hate. I love a good versatile product, and I have yet to try these all over the face, so I can't really speak on that. But in terms of a lip liner, which is what these were popular for, I just find them to be not long lasting. Like, it doesn't have the longevity that the Charlotte Tilbury lip pencil has or the Hourglass lip pencil has, and that's why I personally don't really like them. On top of that, the popular shades like Wherever Walnut or Anywhere Caffeine are okay. I think they get a lot of hype because they do work on certain skin tones, but on my skin tones, the shade, I think it was, which one was it? The shade Wherever Walnut is just too light for me. Like, it kind of defeats the purpose of a lip liner. And then the shade Anywhere Caffeine works for me slightly better, but I have other lip liner shades that I prefer. And then the best shade that worked for me, which was Limitless Brown, I've lost it, don't know where it is. I really enjoy that shade. So out of the entire set, I only ended up loving one shade, which means I could have just gone out and bought that one shade instead of buying a set, and now I'm left with all of these lip pencils that I feel like are mid. Then I also have the shade Whatever Black and All Around White, and these are supposed to work on your eyes. I mean, of course you could use this as a lip liner if you wanted to, like if you wore black or white lipstick, but because they're so blendable and they kind of like blend away, I don't like them on my eyes. I have better eyeliners out there. There are better drugstore eyeliners out there. However, I think they have redeemed themselves because they have a new formula that's supposed to be longer lasting in the same popular shades. So if that's what you're interested in and you want a long lasting formula, go for the new formula. But if you don't care for the longevity of it and you actually prefer for it to not be as budge proof as other lip liners, then these could be better for you. It's just not really aligned with my preferences. I know that some of the makeup I mentioned is quite old, so if you need help cutting down your Sephora cart even further, this part is for you. You can probably delete any just released makeup launches that are considered permanent. These are still new and it's likely being recommended because, well, they're the hot new thing, right? I say wait it out and and see if the hype dies down when the next product releases. If you still want it by then, buy it later or during the next sale, or even when the brand has sales on their website during Black Friday. This includes the Icy Nude and Rocks palette, Huda Beauty Easy Blur One Size Foundation, Makeup Forever palette, the Patrick Ta Duos. Now I do plan on buying this for review purposes, but if I were you, I would wait to see the real reviews, you know, from people that didn't receive this in PR or are associated with Patrick Ta. Don't get me wrong, I have extremely high hopes for these, but if you like these, unfortunately, you have to buy one unit with two shades that look very similar to each other. I don't need to buy these to know that, and that's just something to keep in mind, especially because they are $42. And lastly, the Summer Fridays Hot Cocoa Lip Butter. Do I really need to convince you out of this one? I know you want this just because it's a new scent, but is it really a must-have? Will you regret not buying this? You can also probably delete gift sets. This seems like a better deal because the sets are being marketed as a great value. Then you're gonna get an additional 10, 15, 20% off, but there are a million different reasons why a gift set might not actually be a good purchase. I have a full video talking you through whether or not you should add this to your cart. Highly recommend watching that if you want to be de-influenced. Of course, if you don't, do as you please. And you can also delete products that will likely have a better sale on Black Friday. I'm currently eyeing the Danessa Myricks Lightworks palette. Historically, she has done 30 to even 40% during Black Friday, so it can wait. My friend Christina has a video breaking down all of these sales to help you find the better deal, so if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Black Friday deals, definitely check that video out. Again, there is nothing wrong with buying a product if it feels right for you. How you spend your money is none of my business, but if your cart is currently over budget and you need help, these are just some things to consider. You can also watch this video that I made months ago if you need to be reminded of things you might regret buying. I'm not gonna lie, I feel really bad sharing negative reviews about products sometimes. I think that people can really just take it the wrong way. Some people are super brand loyal and they get really offended if you are saying you hate a product from a brand they absolutely love. Personally, for me, I care about performance over brand loyalty. I care about the quality of the product over brand loyalty. My makeup collection is just a variety of different brands. I've tried to only focus on a couple of brands to kind of find a brand where I love all of their products, but that rarely happens. I think some brands specialize in certain areas and that's what I go for that brand for, and other brands just have a different style of makeup that don't really align with how I like to do my makeup, and that is totally okay. At the end of the day, my channel is all about finding products that work for you, not because they're viral, not because they're from a certain makeup artist, and not because someone recommended them to you. It's all about finding what works for your lifestyle, your makeup routine, and your skin color or skin type. As always, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What are some really popular viral products that you have tried that we should avoid buying during the Sephora sale or even full price? I want to know because I am going to be doing some Sephora sale shopping, so give us a warning. Let us know why. Don't just say, I don't like this product. I want to know why you don't like the product, why it didn't work for you, through more of a critical lens. And then let us know what actually worked for you and what you would recommend over that product instead. And once you're done, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye!